Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Kind of a quiet market right now. Put out actually funny tweets today. What I'm sort of seeing, it feels like. I've been going on about these sort of celestial events all coming due here. I'm really worried about this weekend here. This 5th is supposed to be the day. I was seeing some people say that there's some sort of pivot right here, 31st to 1st. I did see that, a couple references to that. And I do find it interesting that, we had big stock market meltdowns and chaos, and then all the politicians scrambled. Okay, fine. Okay, we got all that fire put out kind of stuff. And now, of course, the United States of America is getting hit right between the eyes with this COVID, and as it's sort of washing its way across North America here, uh, it's like ramping up. And I almost get the feeling like this is sort of like the apex in here, and then hopefully we can get through the first second week of April and things start calming down. But getting through this end of the month pivot, I almost feel like, and I had sort of made reference to this yesterday, but I wanted to try and articulate that a bit. I mean, doesn't it seem a bit odd where we have days where the Dow's down like 1,000, then up 1,000, then all of a sudden we're here, okay, it's like plus 50. Now I think it's like minus 50. It's like plus 10, minus 10. So it kind of feels like we're in that sort of middle part of the billiard ball fractal in here. And like I said, that March 31st to April 1st, I'm thinking we just kind of chop here. I don't know. It's conjecture, but that's sort of what I've been thinking. See that a lot across a lot of assets. Like our risk on, risk off. Things are sort of calming down here a bit. The only one that actually seems to be increasing in volatility right now seems to be the gold. But remember, the gold had a really huge move there recently. And you might even argue, if you look at that gold in particular, that those shorts that we've been talking about here recently, I think they're actually just working away here, which I thought was interesting because this is, sort of a, and when we were loading up the video today, Kevin's like, oh, this is a crazy nutso market, so try explaining this. But I did find this kind of interesting, thinking things are calming down here a little bit. Bonds are actually doing okay. It's just the gold, and the yen's doing relatively okay. It's just the gold. I think it just went too far too fast. So we look at the gold in particular, and we've been showing you this setup. I remember 2 days ago, I think we did a video. Well, even yesterday, and I was sort of like, well, the gold's just sort of asking, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? And now it's sort of, oh, Jesus. And now you can actually make the argument that we are emming out even further here now. I don't know how deep this has to go, but if we sort of think that, calm, fractal, probably a conservative number would just be simply thinking what's a 50% of this range. So that's probably something in the neighborhood of, well, you can see reload zones are basically against all that original traffic area. But I don't really like using reload zones as targets because quite often markets will just hit the 50% level and they'll stop. So it is interesting too here. You can see the bottom of value. There's not really that much interest in doing business down in here. So I would be thinking that we probably will see some short-term support around that 1575 area here. But as we said just a moment ago, if you did want to try and buy against these lows, which I think is a bit dangerous, but if you did, probably reload zones are probably your area that you want to focus in on. I think that was like the Fed's bazooka event date window right in there. And interesting enough, when we look at Bitcoin, we see a lot of similar type levels. So anyway, so in the face of the gold coming off here, if gold and bonds are supposed to be risk off and move in tandem, why is bonds moving up here? It's not moving up egregiously, and there's not a hell of a lot going on here, but this is a little bit of a double bottom coming in here now. And I still think this trade's working, and it's a long. So really weird how we have a bond long and a gold short working at exactly the same time. And we started talking about silver here recently. We get down to these gaps, down into reload zones. That's probably where I want to start paying attention. So that's what I'm looking for there. The little chart deck that we have for you guys. We actually spent a lot of time today actually doing sort of a tutorial through the daily brief. So sometimes when we don't have guest speakers on, it's a relatively sideways market. I'll take the time and answer site members' questions. And somebody asked if I could do a walk through what is the difference between things like OBV, accumulation distribution, money flow, chicken money flow. So we had a nice little conversation today about indicators and volume analysis. But for you guys, where is your chart? I think it's this one, yeah. Kind of thinking that sort of eye of the storm, 50% level on the US dollar, now a little inside bar reversal. A little bit of panic coming back into the market a little bit, but you can see turning into a doji day. We were panicking quite a bit more earlier, but now sort of calming back down. And I think, that's probably actually really good, sort of that billiard ball fractal sort of turned on its side. And think of us going through time here, seeing that billiard ball fractal play itself out, and we're sort of winding up here now at the middle. We had talked recently about there was a gap on the S&P futures, and it looks like they actually rallied it into the gap, and then she crapped out. So we had said this was an important level here yesterday. It's also 38.2. Remarkable the fight that's going on at this level. So clearly now you should be able to see that if we can resolve back up through the top here, this now becomes a head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline, up we go. But you can see she kind of got bitch slapped here a little bit. And maybe I got a little bit too excited on the long side. I actually did go and buy a stock. I had said yesterday that if this particular stock confirmed the railroad tracks, I'd buy it, so I did. And it's pulling back here. Way to go, Brian. But I'm seeing a lot of this. Stock market wanted to move higher here and is stalling out. And actually our day traders, you can see there was a bit of a day trade setup come in here. It was kind of sloppy, but it was a double bottom through a 50 move and not really the best W through RSIs. We did talk about this through the daily brief. Interesting anecdote, and you can see it looks like it's about to get busted out here. So, looks like the bear is kind of waking up here a little bit. And I suppose, like we said, off of S&Ps and stuff, maybe that's not completely unrealistic given that gap level. And the head and shoulders 38.2. Maybe we're a little bit early to start ramping up through the top. Interesting for the riskers. We keep hearing the politicians saying that they're going to talk and put a bottom in the oil market, and the oil market just can't find a bottom here. Bad sign. I'd also say, too, is it really realistic? The headlines read, the Russians and the Americans are going to get together to agree on fixing the price of oil. What? I thought the whole point of OPEC was to fix the price of oil and screw the Americans. Now the Americans are coming in. They're going to create an OPEC and they're going to fix the price of oil? This doesn't make any sense. I mean, talk about cats and dogs living together this crazy year, planetary conjunctions and all that crap. Coronavirus, illness. Now you're actually going to try and tell me that the Russians and the Americans are going to be allies and work together now? Holy moly. This world definitely is on its head. Anyway, oil's still weak, and I don't see any reasons to get bullish here. And that, interestingly enough, stocks, I think, some of the bank stocks and stuff, like I said, enjoyed a bit of a boost here with all the bailout talk and stuff. there's still a really cloud hanging over whether these international cruise line operators and stuff are going to get any bailouts or not. And of course, on a daily basis, we're seeing constantly more negative news about COVID. So it's very tough for me to make too bullish of an argument here. But if I can find, and I spend a lot of time in the Daily Brief, we run a number of different fundamental screening models in the stock market. Models like CanSlim. I was talking with somebody on Twitter recently. They learned the CanSlim model. They love it. CanSlim M stands for friendly market. Clearly, we're not in friendly market. This person was like, Brian, I walked away back in the middle of February, and I'm thankful I did. If you run models like GARP, growth at a reasonable price, ironically enough, as prices come down, we're starting to come into GARP levels. And I noticed some of these high-tech stocks gap violently higher as soon as we started approaching GARP levels. And then, things like venture cap investment model, some of those stocks look absolutely fabulous here. Like that little Tello, that little pharmaceutical stock. Basically, it's sitting right where I bought. I bought at like 15 cents, sitting at like 13 cents. But they're not sexy, and their value, and they're just sitting there going, yeah, I'm a stock, here I am. I'm not doing much because the rest of the market's crapping their pants. On balance, I don't think it's such a good idea to get too excited about calling a bottom here. If we look at stocks, and I don't know how long, here's that Netcoins I was talking about. Somebody does not want this stock to break down. I mean, go figure. I'm not touting it, caveat emptor. But, like Amazon was a good example of a GARP stock. But notice, look at the chart. I mean, they just left a huge hole down here. And if we look at Microsoft, Mr. Gates' commentary on the public recently, I think, caused this thing to catch a bid. Huge gaps down below here. So I don't know whether I can really believe that we have actually a bottom here, or this is still that dead cat bounce. S&P's 38.2 bounces, that kind of stuff. Whether that's what's going on here right now. So, risk on, and, V bottom. We'll see how it goes. Maybe a little too early for a guy like me to say this is the bottom. If anything, what I'd like to see is, just a few days of pullback and then a break to new highs, and then we got something to work with. Right now, we got the dead cat bounce, the pullback. Now, let's break out to new highs here. So we talked a little bit about gold. We talked a little bit about bonds. We talked some stock. We talked crude. We talked U.S. dollar. 901 cocksuckers. Capitalism 101. Well, all I care about is I just follow my plan. I had said that I really liked this railroad tracks yesterday, and I've got a whole bunch of lows to work with. So if we ticked up through this high and the stock market was feeling pretty optimistic this morning, I said I'd go and buy some. So we traded, you can see the high here, $9.97. We traded up to $10. So I went and bought some at $9.98. Great, look at me. I lost $100. I bought a board lot, 100 shares of this thing. So way to go, Brian. But, at the very least, hopefully I'm a demonstrator of best practices. I told you guys yesterday that I was going to buy this if it did railroad track. It did, and very simply put, I'm thinking that I like, like this low, this low, this low, and obviously the railroad tracks low as support. If we close below here, I think I might just take my $100 loss and say, screw it, get me the hell out of here. We'll see how it goes. That wasn't the best trade. And actually, as I was joking with Kevin, at least I'm doing a pretty good job at showing you guys how to lose money in these videos. So way to go, Brian. Didn't do anything on any of the others. This was the only one that I was ready to pull the trigger on. All these others are just sort of, how ironic, they're all just sort of going sideways in here, just slightly higher. My stock, I'm getting bitch slapped. Somebody's probably watching me and going, hey, let's embarrass this guy. Let's go break that bottom just to piss him off. Who knows? Anyway, heading on over to the corn. Interestingly, how we had this reversal here off of this crazy triangle. I don't know whether this is relevant or not, but it's kind of a fun study. And I happen to have it on this chart that I use for your public broadcast, so I've just left it on here. But I still think we're kind of range bound here, kind of like the stock market, same thing. We break out through the top. I think we could make the argument AB equals CDs, take us up into 81, 8200. Off of the lower time, this is a 4-hour chart, but it's kind of zoomed up so you can see the scale of this. Nice to see we got back above moving average support. Now you can clearly see a double top starting to form up here. So if we slip back below this level, I think we're right back into the thumper. Kind of like the stock market, kind of jumped up at the top end of the range. Can it hold on to these rallies? Tough to say. We'll see what happens. Zooming in off this MEX contract, because this did make a new high, I've got one low. I'd like to see a second low, then a third low, and then go if I want to play this to the long side. So I'm just sort of cooling my jets right now. You know, considering na levels, Fed bazooka levels. It looks like the market did what usually happens here. Interesting how we did rally right up and tag the trend line and Mountain Man and smack down. I haven't really got any major like indicator failure here yet. You can see that volume did make a higher high here, so that's good. And the bear volume is still relatively quiet. So nothing really shocking volume-wise. And you can see MACD did have this bull div, so that's playing itself out. And interestingly enough, if we actually get a nice polite W to come in here, based on the fact that this is in divergence, that's actually a buy signal. So feeling pretty good about that. Nothing really definitive off of things like RSI. That was a V bottom, dead cat bounce. If we M out here and roll over, that's not good. If we W out here, then it probably means continuation. Think like A, B, C, D. Probably take us to test us back up against the top end of the range there. So not really, just not doing anything here trade-wise on the corn. And just waiting. I'm just patient. I'll just wait. So that's what I'm sort of seeing out of the corn right now. So just to finish this off, then, where the hell's that? I guess around here somewhere. Maybe it's over here. Nope. All right, I got your. Oh yeah, it was this one, wasn't it? Not really a hell of a lot of change on the alts, right? And this actually I find interesting because what this really says to me is, you know, when they're selling markets, usually it's people that own stuff and they're like, oh my god, price is collapsing. But I'm not really hearing anything out of altcoin land. It's almost kind of like if there were sellers, they're long gone. So it doesn't surprise me to see this thing. You know, he's gone and made a new high here this morning. Can't really chase this one now because it's hit its move stop to scratch level. So you had to sneak in through here, or there isn't a trade. Unless maybe if we look at this is versus USD, so maybe versus Bitcoin there might have been a better chance. But anyway, it looks to me like these are just working away. I'm not necessarily recommending anything here, you know that. But if you traded bots, these aren't bad looking. I mean, they're there. So caveat emptor, that was Kevin's idea from yesterday. So it just goes to show Kevin's got a pretty good nose for this stuff. I am seeing a lot of more uppy, like here's Stratus. Why is Stratus moving up here? You can see Doge is catching a bit of a bid. Some of these little ones, I notice, like, check out that Ambrosius. Look at what's going on there, man. There's something brewing there. So, I am seeing money coming into this space. It's not leaving. It's coming in. So, keep your eyes peeled. Still trying to sneak my way in on this Link and this XTZ. I'm awfully close on Link. I think XTC still got some ways to go. But look at this CND. This is another one of Kavarkinator's ideas. You can see it just bumping along the bottom here. So, it's not like it's a rip-roaring bull and it's super sexy. If anything, this is really boring, and that's good for investors. This tells me that this actually isn't a bad place for us to be hunting. Notice I don't see any big face rips down here. So, all right, guys, I hope that was of some value to you. I mean, it's tough as a guy who's basically every single day coming to the market showing you how I can lose money like the best of them. Way to go, Brian. I make money, lose money. Hopefully at the end of the day, my average winners are bigger than my average losers. And really, ironically enough, like actually trading-wise, I haven't actually done a hell of a lot here as I'm just sort of watching all these fireworks. So, wish me luck on my Silvergate. We'll see what happens. Only time will tell. All the best. And the great part about it is I'm an open book, so if I get stopped out, I'll tell you. So, all right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. Hope you got some value out of this. All the best, and bye for now.